Welcome back, Bisons. It's a very exciting day today because we are going to be talking about my most anticipated fall book releases. Now, we have a little polar vortex that's come in, and we've got highs of 72, lows of 50, and it's really getting me in the fall spirit. And part of, being present for the season is thinking about all of the amazing fall books that you can read. So I am going to include some August releases just because they're a little bit Halloweeny, they're a little bit spooky, and plus, if you get really excited to read after watching this video, there are some options you can start right away and you don't have to wait. But without any more to do, let's get into the video. So, starting in August, the first book that I'm going to talk about is The Deathless One by Emma Hamm. This released August 5th, 2025, so it is already out. The genre is romantasy, and here our main character, Jessamine, is a princess, and her country is taken over by a plague, so the only solution to trying to help get her country out of this is she has to enter a political marriage, except she is killed at the altar by the person she's supposed to be married. Sounds a little bit behoovy, if you guys know what I'm talking about. But when she dies, she meets the Deathless One, and he's kind of got a game plan. He's like, I will bring you back to life, and I'll give you your kingdom back, but in exchange, you have to resurrect me. And so that's the setup, that's what we're working with. And then somehow, the Deathless One and our princess fall in love. Unclear how, but that's kind of the setup. So initially I was really drawn to the cover of this book because it does give a very atmospheric, spooky October vibe. But then I was reading the reviews, and almost every single review was a 1-star or a DNF review, because the book is out, so people are reading it. So it could actually be a pretty bad book. But honestly, there's something fun about reading bad romantasy, so I think I'm still going to check it out anyways. But yeah, that's our first book. Our next book in August is The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas. This releases August 19th, 2025. Its genre is horror, historical fiction, and gothic. This one, I'm going to dare say it, book of the fall season. I haven't read it. I only have read the description on Goodreads, but it sounds so interesting, and I feel like it's going to be really good. And I already have it on hold at the library, so the clock is ticking until I can read it. But picture this. It's 1965, and there's a plague sweeping through Zacatecas. Alba flees with her parents and her fiancé Carlos to his family's isolated mine for refuge during this plague. Alba begins suffering from hallucinations, sleepwalking, and convulsions. Carlos's cousin, Elias, is the only one who's noticing her deteriorating state. So picture this. It's Mexico. We're in an abandoned silver mine town. There's a plague sweeping through. She's set to marry Carlos, who's a childhood friend. It's kind of a marriage of convenience almost, just because she's like, yeah, this works for me, I guess. But then Elias is magically swooping in and causing a stir. So, the main plot of the story is focusing on her possession, but I really like the mixture of genres with the historical fiction, a little bit of romance, and some gothic elements to it. I think with all of that mixed together, it's going to create the perfect blend of an amazing fall book. Next up, we have Too Old for This by Samantha Downing. This released August 12th. It is a mystery thriller, and the setup is our main character is basically a retired serial killer. She moved, changed her name, and has kind of established herself in this community. She's 70s, 80s maybe, and she thinks that she can peacefully die without being held accountable for her crimes. But then an investigator comes to town and starts asking her questions and is wondering what's going on, and she starts thinking to herself, what's one more murder? So that's the setup, and again, serial killer plot, so fall coded, There's something about that. I like that the perspective is from an elderly woman, and it also draws parallels about what it was like committing crimes in the 70s compared to now, where there's a lot of updated technology, there's DNA, there's location services. So she kind of has to fight to figure out, how do you kill people when it's 2025? Which is a premise, that's something to think about. So I am excited, and I just had to add those 3 August books because they are giving a fall vibe and they're already out. So if you need to grab a book, there's 3 already ready for you. Next are books released in September. First up, we have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. This releases September 2nd. It is a contemporary romance. Basically, the plot setup is we've got a businesswoman from the city meets a single hot dad who's a baker in a small town. So you're very typical, accomplished, successful person going to a small town and meeting a small town person and then falling in love. I mostly picked this one up again because of the cover. The cover is so fall coded. It just looks so cute. And picture yourself all snuggled up on the couch with this book. It really does feel right. And you gotta have some kind of cutesy romances in the fall. So I'm excited for this one. Next, we have Song of the Hell Witch by Taylor Hartley. This releases September 9th. It is a romantasy. We follow Prudence, who goes from being a street rat, which is a direct quote from the synopsis. She's described as a street rat, to being the Duchess of Townsbury. In this position, she has to be a perfect, obedient wife and hide her magic. Our other character, Puck, which let me say I am a little cautious about the 2 main characters being named Prudence and Puck, both P names with a U. They're a little too close for comfort. But anyways, Puck is a criminal with a sick daughter, and he's desperate to find a cure. So they team up because she needs to escape her life, and he needs to find a cure for his daughter. And there's this mythic town that they hear will solve all of their problems. So you're following them adventure out of their oppressive society and find somewhere else. This is a second chance romance. I wasn't immediately pulled in by the description of the book, but the ratings are actually very positive from the people who've gotten early copies. So it seems like it might actually be written pretty well, so I added it anyways. The focus is a lot on women empowerment, and the romance is just a subplot, so I do like that aspect. I do see in the reviews that there's a massive cliffhanger at the end, so I think this might be a series, but in Goodreads it does not say book 1, so unclear. It's also described as a Victorian gas lamp fantasy. I'm not very knowledgeable about all of the subgenres that exist out there, so I don't necessarily know what that means, but I think I like that subgenre. But then it was also described in Goodreads that is similar to the author Hannah Witten, and I have read The Foxglove King, I think it is called, and actually it might be. I wasn't going to say it should be behind me, but I think I already got rid of it. So if that explains how I feel about it, I just it was kind of boring. I didn't like the pacing, and honestly, I couldn't tell you what happened in the book because I don't remember at all. So that was a little concerning, but the reviews seem positive. So I'm hopeful. Next up, we have We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. This releases September 23rd, 2025, and this is a dark academia thriller. If you guys know, Bunny by Mona Awad is one of my favorite horror books. I really love the weird and bizarre, and I like when horror takes a very bizarre turn to it, and Bunny was that book for me, and I liked how much was up to your interpretation of what was going on. And this book is considered both the prequel and the sequel to Bunny. So in this timeline, our main character Sam from the last book is now an accomplished writer. She's written a book and she's going on tour, but she just so happens to end up back at her old university, and the bunnies kidnap her because they're upset with how she portrayed them in her book. And through this kidnapping, they get to explain their side of the story and what things looked like to them. And so initially, I feel really excited to get more clarity on the bunnies and get more background information. But at the same time, I'm worried that if I do find out more information about the bunnies, it'll take away the spooky element that the first book had. But anyways, I really like the author. I really like her writing style, so I think it will still be worth it to continue. And I just really hope it's very bizarre. That's all I can hope for. Next, we have Tourist Season by Brynn Weaver. This is the start of a trilogy. I guess she has another trilogy that is very similar to this concept, but I haven't read it. But I am curious into looking into it after I read the description for this book. It is a dark romance thriller. Little concerning. I do get a little concerned when I see the dark romance tag, but listen to the setup, okay? So we are at Cape Carnage, which is a touristy town. Our main character, Harper, wants to protect the town, and in doing so happens to take out any tourist she deems troublesome. So basically, if she doesn't like you, she kills you, and you become nutrients in her garden bed. Next, we have Nolan, who happens to be a tourist in this town, and he is hell-bent on revenge because his brother was killed in a hit and run, and he is basically killing anyone who was involved. Well, he wants to kill Harper. She's on his hit list. I don't know what she did, but that's how they meet, is basically they're trying to kill each other. But then an amateur true crime investigator shows up and starts asking questions, and Harper and Nolan have to form a truce so that they don't both get each other arrested, and somehow they fall in love. Yep. Somehow they fall in love. That is my favorite setup, is when you have a true enemies to lovers. Like, these people genuinely want to kill each other, and then somehow by the end of the book they love each other. I'll read that. Yeah, it just sounds so crazy that I have to know. And that's actually how I pick most of my books, is the setup just sounds so insane that I have to read it. Next up, we have Thief of Night by Holly Black. This is book 2 of, I don't remember. This is book 2 from the first book, Book of Night. This genre is fantasy. When I looked up the summary on Goodreads, there just wasn't a description. It's basically just like, yeah, you know what happened in book 1? Well, we're going to continue on that. And it's like, yeah, I thought you would. So no clue. I guess we're just continuing the story. It did leave off on a cliffhanger in the first book. I'm excited for this solely because it's Holly Black and it's her adult debut series, but I read Book of Night and it was like the first 80% was so boring to me. And normally her books really reel me in, and it's so fast paced. Maybe because it was all young adult, but I was just like really disappointed and I didn't really like it. The magic system I didn't really care about, but then randomly at the end it got so juicy and so interesting, and then I'm gonna have to read it again before I read book 2, which is gonna be a chore, but I want to know how it ends. This kind of feels like a duology where it should have been one book and the pacing should have just been better, but we'll see. Hopefully it's not too bad. Next up is October releases, the month that matters the most in fall, in my opinion. I'm a huge October lover. It's my favorite month of the year. So first up, not really a fall book, but an exciting release nonetheless. We have Revolve by Ball Cabra. Remember my June and July recent reads, I read Spiral by her. So this is book 3 in kind of this like Off the Ice trilogy. I still need to read the first book, so I'm going to read the first book before I read the third book. Just seems to make sense. This releases October 14th, 2025. It is a sports romance, and now we're following Sierra, who is a figure skater who has suffered an accident, now has panic attacks anytime she goes on the ice. And then Dylan, who we know from the previous books, is kicked off the hockey team due to his reckless behavior. And then somehow they become pair partners in figure skating. Honestly, the premise doesn't sound that interesting to me, but I was a fan of this author's writing, and I think she writes good characters, so I'm still excited. Next up, we have Mate by Hazelwood. This is book 2 after her first book, Bride. It releases October 7th, and it is a paranormal romance. This time we're following Serena, who's the first human-were hybrid, and it is causing political problems between the humans, the werewolves, and the vampires. No one's happy here. Cohen is an alpha of another pack, and he likes her, but she doesn't like him. I personally loved the first book. I will be doing a reread before I read book 2, just because it's a perfect excuse to reread this book. Hazelwood is one of my top authors. I really like her writing. I am a little scared for this book because I feel like within the past year, she's really branched out in her writing, and I feel like she's not afraid to write whatever she wants, which is a good thing. But man, if I read some interesting stuff in consequence of that. I have, but I'll still keep coming back because I really like her as an author. Also, something I find really funny is with the werewolf community, all of the dynamics they talk about, like alpha and like that stuff, all of their like concepts that they have, all stems from like a scientific theory about wolf family dynamics that actually isn't true, and all of it was disproven. And I just love that this whole fandom of people who's created so much content is based around a false scientific theory that was like disproved like immediately. And I just think that's beautiful. You know, something positive came out of an accidental false scientific discovery. Without that, we wouldn't have this book. And I think that's beautiful. So yeah, that is Mate. Next up, we have Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. This releases October 7th, 2025. This will be the first of a trilogy. The genre is romantasy, but I did read in the reviews that the first book does not have much romance in it at all. It's mostly going to be down the series where it develops. This is Stephanie Garber's adult debut. Normally I would offer a summary, but I read the summary. It makes no sense to the point that I couldn't even try and summarize it into a couple sentences, because it was one of those where there was just so many fake words that it no longer meant anything. So you might be like, well, why do you want to read this book then if there was no description? I love Stephanie Garber. Her Carvel trilogy, I wasn't that big of a fan of. I liked it better as the books went on, but I really don't like Scarlet. I'm sorry to the Scarlet fans, which kind of annoyed me. But her Once Upon a Broken Heart, I still need to buy the third book, but trust it will happen. Her Once Upon a Broken Heart series, I adore. It's so cute, so fairy tale-esque, so fast-paced. A lot of people don't like the main character. That's okay. I think Stephanie kind of writes a little bit of annoying female characters, but that's okay. Women can be annoying. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm overjoyed to start her adult debut. I'm almost tempted to wait for all 3 books to release just because I know I'm going to read them so quickly. But I have high hopes. Oh yeah, and a lot of the reviews were, so you can kind of get a concept, is it's got an old Hollywood glamour vibe to it, and it's more like a supernatural thriller, if that helps. Next up, we have All of Us Murders by K.J. Charles. This releases October 7th. The genre is mystery, historical fiction, and romance. Its summary is, as it says on Goodreads, as the mists descend, the gaslight flickers, and terror takes its hold. 2 warring lovers must reconcile in time to uncover the murderous mysteries of Lackaday House and live to tell the tale. Based off the cover and based off the description, it feels like it's going to be very atmospheric and moody and a little bit creepy, which is all I can hope for. That's all I can hope for. Sounds like there's very messy relationships, there's messy family dynamics, there's a second chance romance, which apparently this fall is the fall of second chance romances. I feel like that is the trope I found in all of the books I was looking at. I don't know how I feel about that trope. I don't think I've actually read it much, but I guess I will decide this fall what I think. And also, it's based in a gothic mansion, which just sounds all exciting. And I love when historical fiction gets mixed in. Then lastly, I just have one book for November that I'm excited about, and that is Fallen City by Adrienne Young, which is going to be book 1 in a duology. This releases November 4th, and it is a YA fantasy. I have been reading Adrienne Young a little bit off and on. I've read some of her YA fantasy, and I've read some of her adult debuts. I really like both. I think she does well at both genres. But this was another one of those books where the description left me scratching my head. I was not sure what we were saying here, but I'll read it. In the great walled city of Isara, political turmoil ignites a rebellion 100 years in the making. But when a legionnaire falls in love with a magistrate's daughter, their love will threaten the fate of the city and the will of the gods. Don't know what that means, but it's going to be another one of those where I trust the author, so I'm just going to read whatever they write. That is it for all of the fall releases that I'm excited for. I did my research by just searching through Goodreads lists. So if I missed any books that you are looking forward to that's releasing this fall, do not hesitate to drop it in the comments, because I want to know what books you guys are hyping up. What books are we excited for? I might just have to add them to my TBR. Also comment, do any of these books sound interesting to you? Did I help you find any new books for your TBR? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to join the herd. Just a little sidebar, I did wake up this morning to 50 subscribers, and that was so exciting. I never thought I would reach that milestone. I know it sounds small to people, but when I hit 10 subscribers, I was like, I never thought I was going to hit the double digits. So to be at 50 is super cool. I can't believe there are people out there who are watching this that aren't my mom and my sister. But it means a lot to me. So thank you a lot for subscribing and for watching my videos. Thank you.